why Sins of the Father I think is so impactful is it just takes you on this incredible journey.
Did you approach it just as a job, or did you understand that gaming is big or it's going to get even bigger?
No, I had no idea that gaming was big. In fact, when I first met Hideo Kojima, I didn't know who he was.
That's crazy. So obviously many players experience your voice in quite emotional, important moments in the game. And you mentioned that you don't know any of that beforehand.
Everything has to be a massive secret. So they're playing me like a damn fiddle.
You played us like a damn fiddle!
That's what's happening here. They're drip feeding. In this verse, we want this feeling. In this verse, we want you to bring up the emotion. He had written 2 completely amazing tracks. Kojima-san said, I like this from that and I like that from this. And can you just make this into a new track?
With the rise of AI and AI generated voices now and music and whatnot, what is your whole take on that? Today, I'm joined by the amazing Donna Burke. She's an actor, a writer, a comedian, and an entrepreneur. You might be familiar with Donna's performances in the Metal Gear Solid series,
Mission accepted.
the Silent Hill series,
Or maybe you think you can save me.
and Donna is the voice of the Japanese famous Shinkansen bullet train. Donna has had an incredible career in gaming, music, and beyond. We talk about her journey into voice acting as well as a few insights into game development. We dive into her thoughts on AI, creativity, and talk about her dream of creating her own symphonic orchestra. There's actually a very interesting story of how Donna managed to acquire the rights for many of the songs. Finally, I have to mention her entrepreneurial endeavor, which is a very interesting toilet gadget, and I've never heard of anything like this. And with that said, let's uncover Donna's story. Donna, it's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that, truly. And your voice is, very deeply tied to the gaming scene, to the Metal Gear Solid series, and even the anime scene. But what some might not know is that you're also a writer, an actress, an entrepreneur, and even, you dabble in comedy, from what I understand. So you have a very multifaceted career, which is very interesting. And but turns out that I actually knew your voice throughout all these years from your performance of Angela in Silent Hill 2. I didn't know that, actually. I found that out, whilst doing some research about the podcast, and that was very interesting. So your voice has stuck around, that's for sure. And we'll get to talk about your career and everything that you do, definitely a bit in more detail. But first, could you please just tell me, how did you get involved in the gaming scene in the first place? Back then it wasn't as big as it is now. So what was your process kind of going in, and what did you think about the gaming scene also in general?
Well, I've been out as a person who doesn't play games. So I'm not like Cynthia Harrell, who's crushing it, who's always posting her. And I was in the closet for many years. I just pretended when people ask me what's my favorite game, I'd sort of lie. But I find gaming really too overwhelming. I think I've got some neurodivergency, and being an artist, I find it way too realistic. So
Okay,
my
I
first
see.
experience of gaming was probably in 1997 when the Apple Blueberry iMac shipped with a game about dinosaurs. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. And I'm exploring this beautiful forest, and I was really enjoying, wow, this gaming thing's great. And then a massive dinosaur came out, and my parasympathetic nervous system didn't realize that this was not real, and I went into full like flinging the mouse and running out of the room. I thought, never again. So I'm one of these
Oh my
people who
goodness.
doesn't do roller coasters. My imagination's too real. So that said, I have watched myself in the whole of Silent Hill 2 through a charity sort of a fast run, like they play the game in an
Speed runs,
hour.
right.
Speed. So
Yeah.
that's where I've played the game. So my first, I've approached gaming as an actor. So I've auditioned for a role, and so that's my experience of gaming. I'm playing a role. I'm singing a song. I'm giving everything to that experience, but to actually immerse myself into a world of, and also actually I do all a lot of zombie voices in Silent Hill.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's incredible.
There you go. I just cleaned a
That's
lot
why it
of
was so
phlegm out
scary.
there, everyone. So, and recording that was so funny. It's like, I couldn't stop it. Just a second. I was just cracking myself up doing a zombie voice in a very safe studio with a bunch of people, egging me on. But to actually hear that in the horror and it's not funny, and I don't find it enjoyable. I don't find being scared enjoyable.
Understood. That's very interesting. Well, to tell you the truth, when I was very young, when Silent Hill 2
I'm going to
came
talk to
out,
your
and
parents about this because clearly they weren't playing a
funny,
very good role in your life.
it was my dad and my uncle whom I was playing it with,
Oh my God.
and it was but it was good because at least they were playing it while I was watching, so I had the opportunity to be very safe, to feel safe, at least. But I'm not the biggest fan of horror games, actually, to be fair. But to talk about how you got the gigs for the parts. So did you approach it just as a job, or did you understand that gaming is big, or it's gonna
No,
get
I had
even
no
bigger?
idea that gaming was
No
big.
idea.
In
Uh-huh.
fact, when I first met Hideo Kojima, I didn't know who he was. And
That's crazy.
Akihiro Honda was like, Donna, this is it was backstage 2010. I just sung When Heavens Divide, and he said, this is Kojima-san, and he really wants to meet you. I'm like, oh, hello. And then because I wasn't going, oh my God, he goes, this is the creator, the director of the game. Oh, nice. I had no clue. I was at a party with Stan Lee. I had no idea who Stan Lee was, and
Oh my god.
I could tell that he was a big deal. And I think Kojima introduced me to him or someone, and I was like, oh, nice to meet you. And clearly, I could tell from context. And then afterwards, and which I left that party early to go to an improv comedy rehearsal, which was being held at my house. So, like, I had no clue how big
Well,
things were.
in a way, I think that might have played in your, to your advantage, probably. But at least, I mean, now you know at least who they are and how big the industry is, and I think it was probably the right choice to kind of get into that industry. But how did you get the gig? Meaning, how do you find out about this role?
You live in Japan, you live in Tokyo, you're registered with all the agencies, and
Right.
that's how you found out about it.
Ah,
So
okay.
living in Japan was my big smart move.
Let's talk about that then. So you're originally from Australia,
Hmm.
right? And that's a big move, and moving anywhere is a big move. Why exactly did you move there in the first place?
I was 30. I had done exactly what you've done, done the safe choice. Instead of pursuing an acting, singing career full time, I
Right.
just taught in a high school, which is sort of not my dream. And so when I was 30, I had the opportunity to take a break from teaching, a fully paid break, by the way, and go
Nice.
traveling. And then at the end of that 3 months, this was in 1996, I thought, I don't want to go back to my old life. I want to just keep, I don't want to go back to Australia because I know exactly what my life will be like. And I want to have some adventure. So I got a job in Japan, and not
Well,
loving Japan, not ever watching anything Japanese, which also was a blessing because I'd read about people having culture shock because they were huge fans of Japan, and then they'd come and like, well, that's not what I read about, or that's not what I saw on the anime. Whereas
I see.
I was like a 7-year-old child, just like, oh, what? Look at that. Oh, wow. And so I had no sort of preconceived notions, and it was really exciting and completely different to my suburban life in Australia. I lived in
Right.
a tiny apartment next door. A family of 4 children and mum and dad lived in the same tiny space.
Oh, wow.
And I would just
Okay,
like,
that's tough.
wow. And they were happy. They were, middle class. They weren't poor, but that was their choice. It was just such a massive value. The values are so different. Like in Australia, bigger, better, huge house, whereas in Japan or Tokyo, it's like, how close are you to the station? How convenient is your life? What schools are the best? In Perth, it's like, what school's the best is the one that's closest, of course. That's
Right.
how you go to uni. You go to uni choosing which uni is the shortest drive from my house. There's no, yeah. So it was just really interesting and fun. So that's how I made the choice. I didn't want to go back to the familiar and the predictable.
Right. Yeah. Well, definitely a good choice. I've also experienced more or less the feeling that you have experienced when moving. I've obviously also moved, and I believe probably exiting your comfort zone is something that people should try out. It definitely could be very beneficial, and definitely was beneficial for you. My friend actually right now is in Tokyo for the first time. He's there staying for 3 weeks. And he's loving it. He's texting me every day, sending me pictures, and he's just loving it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, going to Japan for me also is definitely in the bucket list.
Yeah, my nephew's
But
here at the moment, and every day, even though we've got a house full of food, he's like, I'm just off to the conveni.
yeah, of
Because it's
course.
just, the conveni is like Disneyland. We don't have like anything like it in Australia. And it's just this, um, it's so stimulating and different and cheap, actually, compared to Australia. Anyway,
Is that like the 7-Eleven, right? Kind of thing.
7-Eleven, yeah, Family
Right.
Mart, Lawson.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I've seen a
he's
couple of
checking them all
videos
out.
of those. Well, and the ramen, I can imagine, must be, to die for probably, and the food in general.
Yeah.
We've also mentioned you working closely to Akihiro Honda, whom is one of the, very famous and very talented composers
Mm-hmm.
in the gaming scene. And you've worked with him, I believe, in the context of Metal Gear Solid. So I'm kind of interested about, the collaboration with him, and how did the whole process go, with collaborating with him, singing with him, and, was it a creative process for you, for example?
Well, I think for when Heavens Divide, I really wasn't creating much. I think I changed a couple of lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Again, because I'm singing something I have no context about. I don't know anything about the game. I don't know. It's all top secret.
Ah, that's interesting.
I thought that I was when I first sang When Heavens Divide, it was only Honda-san in the studio. There was no one else. And yeah, he was really easy to work with. And then he said to me around 20, as soon as the game came out, he said, Kojima-san wants you to do another song. And I thought, oh, that's great. And then when it went, when can I do the other song? Not realizing that, games take years and years to make. And
Yeah.
at the end of 2012, he contacted me, and he used to come over I used to have a studio in right near Konami's offices in Roppongi, and he would come over, and I think for the Sins of the Father track, he had written 2 completely amazing tracks, and then Kojima-san said, I like this from that and I like that from this, and can you just make this into a new track, which is why
Wow.
Sins of the Father, I think, is so impactful. It's just takes you on this incredible journey, and then the whole sort of ha 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 ha, that sort of whole thing, which eventually Stephanie sang, for Quiet's theme.
Yeah.
But I remember Ludwig and Honda-san coming over, and I'm like, I just want some lyrics, and they're like, we can't give you the lyrics, because again, the lyrics reveal the
Yeah.
big secret of the game. So I wrote my own lyrics, because it's really weird to sort of sing a song la la. It's like, I'll just invent some lyrics.
Yeah.
And what was incredible is that some of the lyrics I wrote were what is in the song,
Really? Oh my.
because the music sort of
Yeah.
and it's so universal, and it was something in the ether, and they were kind of freaked out, like, wow. Ludwig and Honda-san are very, very fond memories of working. I wouldn't go so far as saying I was a collaborator. I think they were definitely guiding everything, and I have to say that it was I was not vocally ready to do that. Is really hard.
Yeah,
And
I can only
so
imagine.
now to do that song, I hit the gym for weeks before I have to sing it
Really?
live. It's a beast, and that's why so many people don't cover it on YouTube, because it's
Right.
hard. It's really
It
hard.
definitely is a very difficult song. Since you mentioned this, I just want to go on a tangent about you going to the gym. Could you explain why that is the case? Why, it takes weeks to prepare for, a song that is that difficult?
So
I have nothing. I don't know how to sing, and I don't know anything to do with that. So I'm really curious to know.
So there's two levels. Like and it's the first one is fine, the second one's fine, and then it's just sustained,
Yeah.
but with a lot of emotion. So it's hard to do in the studio, but it's okay, and you can always stop and you can re-record and you can say, oh well, I'll take that bit from that take and I will take that whoa-ho from that take, and so you can just mix it, whatever. But when you sing it live, there's no like, oh, whoops, sorry, I missed that bit. Can we just go back? So when I first sang it live, it was with the Osaka Philharmonic in the debut concert for Metal Gear in concert, I think in 2017, maybe 2018, I can't remember. And I had no idea. I was not prepared for the level of emotion going from practicing the song, sound check, dress rehearsal, but then a room full of fans and the actual moment when you get to sing the song. So I just went nuts. I went ballistic. I was like, everyone and everyone, I'm feeling it. And my legs are going, hang on a second, because I'm doing this crouching thing. And my legs stop. My legs are wobbling.
Oh my God.
And part of my brain was like, can you not do this? But I'm like, and after I walked off stage, and I thought, I need to hit the gym. I can't do that. I mean, because Tokyo was coming up, and the Tokyo Philharmonic Forum, like a 5,000 seat venue. And I thought, oh my God, I was terrified that I would not cut it in front of my peers. And and every time I sing live, I forget how powerful the singing in the moment to all of the fans is just transcendent, and it goes beyond anything you've rehearsed. It just goes out the window.
Yeah, I can only imagine how absolutely impactful those moments can be, not only from the perspective of the audience, but also from your perspective, right? That those are two different experiences, and you're also living it at the same time and going through it. So those are very wonderful moments, and I can understand how how probably your body disconnects a little bit. And I see now how important it is to kind of to prepare for scenes like that. I also spoke to Cynthia about this one day. I also in my bucket list to visit one of these concerts and to experience
it's so
these
great.
live performances.
It's just one of my most favorite things to do in the world, and I can't wait to do more of them. It's really exciting that we have a date release for Metal Gear Solid with the latest one that's coming out.
Delta, right? Yeah, in August.
Delta. That's so
hopefully
great.
It's not going to get delayed. Yeah.
Pardon?
I said, hopefully it's not going to get delayed.
I don't think so. I think, people thought it was going to come out last year. So it's, I think, and just, 1 month before the Tokyo Game Show, that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited about that. That's also one of the reasons why I've actually spoken with Cynthia. And, from speaking to her, I've actually also potentially have an opportunity to speak to Norihiko Hibino, who actually composed the main theme. So
great!
The composer himself, that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
He's awesome. And also, talking to you, so like in a bit of a Metal Gear meta right now, which is absolutely fascinating for me. And by the way, I'm the biggest, well, not the biggest, but a huge Metal Gear Solid fan. Love the series, so it's it's double the honor and pleasure for me to be speaking to people that represent that game.
Thank you.
Exciting for me for
I'm
sure.
so honored to be in it. I didn't know how lucky I was when I first got involved, and now it's because it was interesting. Before Delta was released, it was the last big Metal Gear Solid game was 2015, and it was like, and I'd hear people, oh, Metal Gear, so yeah, I think my dad plays that. It's not an upcoming game, so it's super exciting for me and for my career that a whole new generation is going to play this, and they're going to get to hear David's voice. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I'm just so happy for Konami. I know a few people work there, and they're just really excited about all the merch and the experiences that they're planning for all
Definitely.
the fans, and it's really
Yeah, definitely. Especially with Metal Gear. It's great that they chose that game, I think, to start with. It's at least for me, one of the most iconic games in the series, and to kind of start it with number 3, with the bang. Well, actually, number 3 is one of the first in the timeline, so it would make sense to also
I
start with
love
that. So
watching that
definitely can't
reaction
wait.
video of people finding out. No way! Oh my God, he's like Snake! And if ever I'm down, I watch that video and then I'm like, that's funny. And it really lifts my spirits just seeing everyone react.
That's how much we love Metal Gear Solid. Well, I mean, I don't know if you knew how big Metal Gear Solid was when MGS5 was being teased and released, but the whole marketing campaign for that was through the roof. It was
by then
like
I'd
a fake
realized that
studio.
it was a big deal. Yeah.
Right. Like the reaction, at least my reaction when, the first trailer came out from, I think, Moby Dick Studio, it was called. It was like a fake studio. Nobody knew that it was Snake. Nobody knew that it was Metal Gear Solid. It was just called Phantom Pain. And there was like bits and pieces of Snake's face being shown there. Everybody in the internet was speculating, could this be Snake? Could this be Snake? And then eventually when it was revealed that this is the next MGS, the world just, for me, went upside down, literally. So
that's so
I understand
cute.
the feeling.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was...
yeah, I think because I wasn't aware of, because everything has to be a massive secret. So
yeah, speaking of the fact that it's a secret, I have my next question was, to do with your understanding of what players are to expect in the game. So obviously, many players experience your voice in quite emotional or very important moments in the game that is obviously planned by the game's creators. And you mentioned that you don't know any of that beforehand, right? So in other words, the brief does not include, so this is what the player is going to see. This is the emotion that we're trying to convey.
No.
Which is very, interesting. It's kind of a conundrum for me because when the performance is out and we see it, for us, it's perfect. Like it fits, everything to a T.
I think that must be like Honda-san direction.
I see.
So he's like the conductor, and Ludwig as well, because I remember he was at the recording studio virtually back in 2013 was when I recorded Sins of the Father. So yeah, they're playing me like a damn fiddle. That's what's happening here. And they're drip feeding. They're drip feeding. In this verse, we want this feeling. In this verse, we want you to bring up the emotion. In this one, segueing to a different really amazing song, which is Glassy Sky. So I was singing Glassy Sky above, and then they come in and say, "That's great. We love it." The positivity sandwich, and then but actually, can you sing it like a dead person? And I'm like, sure. I can do anything. Even though I'm alive, I can sing like a dead person. And how hard can that be? So they go out, and so you again, when I was singing that song, I didn't know it was about ghouls. I didn't know it was about half dead people, or But so they are sort of like guiding my performance.
Right. Well, that's very, very interesting insight from within the industry, because I would think it would be the opposite. I would think obviously you would sign an NDA, but I thought that perhaps you'd know what's going on. But turns out that okay, well, that just showcases the great direction and the great creativity of the people behind making the game, which is very, very interesting. And to kind of divert our attention a little bit away from Metal Gear Solid, from gaming, I really want to talk about your work ethic, which is, for me at least, very admirable. You have like this, well, at the beginning, I believe, from what I understand throughout the other podcasts that you were in, that you have this fake it till you make it kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
mentality, and you
Yeah.
you faked it with Haagen-Dazs. Well, not
Yeah.
faked it, but
Yeah.
you had that story, and also you can, if you allow me, I can input also the fact that you took it upon yourself to create the official unofficial Metal Gear Solid movie trailer, the song and the music. I actually didn't know that was you. I heard it when it came out, but I didn't pay attention that it was you. But to know that it's you, it's, it's very, very interesting. So, and you also mentioned the fact that work doesn't come to you. You should go and grab and find yourself work, but you're really going kind of thinking outside the box. So, how did you come to that decision? How did
Fans
that
are doing
form?
it. That I got the idea off the fans. The fans are bloody well, they're going and taking this and that, but because I'm the official singer, I need to wait until I thought, stuff that. I'm going to act like I'm a mega fan. I'm going to make the movie theme for Metal Gear Solid that I want to sing in, because I want to write the song, I want to sing the song. And it was such a powerful taking control, not asking for permission. And I mean, it's probably dated now. I mean, when did I do that? Like, how many years ago?
Well, yeah, I don't know now off the top of my head, but I can check.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was basically when it was being a bit
yeah,
hyped up. I remember that's
yeah.
what you mentioned. It was a bit, yeah.
And it costs money. We hired the
Yeah.
Macedonian Symphonic Orchestra. It's real.
Wow.
It's a real
Wow.
orchestra that you're hearing in that.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Buck is who composed it. He's the arranger and the conductor for the Konami Metal Gear Solid concerts. So
Wow. Wow.
we acted as if the brief is. We acted as if it was a real brief, and in doing so, created a beautiful piece of art. We inspired ourselves. We inspired the fans. But I tell you what, I got the idea of fans.
Well, that's awesome. Well, shout out to the fans that pushed that idea, and I think the song came out really, really cool. Not only the song, but the whole, let's say, the project, right? The video itself,
And then having
the
Stephanie
direction.
happen to be in town, and then you get to see how funny she is. She's very comedic. So you get to see Stephanie being really funny, like, oh, I don't like it, do it again, and just being a real cow, but in funny. Yeah, it was just it was just a real real delight. And I remember texting Jordan Vogt Roberts to say, hi, I'm Donna. I'm the singer for Metal Gear, and I'd really like to sing in the movie. And then he got back to me and said, oh, hi, Donna, I'm a huge fan. Yeah, that would be, he didn't actually say, yes, the part is yours, but he was very nice to me. So, you never know.
Yeah, no, for sure. You never know. I think that's a really great approach to have. But I think it's an approach that, well, at least for me, it requires a little bit of habit to kind of realize that, here's how I need to push. And, I need to push, instead of being asked, I need to push myself, which is great. And I think it's a great advice for anybody really. And especially, in the voice acting space or in the acting space, I think it's a really difficult industry to get into. And, to be a bit more fierce about it is probably a good way to go. But you were also talking about, or I believe you wrote about this or talked about this, I don't remember, that you plan to, or you would like to acquire a few copyrights for a few of the songs to be able to, have them and use them at your own leisure. It's two questions in one, really. Did you manage to acquire any of
Yes.
the copyrights? And if so, could you dive in a bit deeper as to how does acquiring the copyrights to the music, what advantages does that bring?
So what my plan is I have created my own symphonic concert, which would be not just Metal Gear in concert, but it would be the songs from Metal Gear, Final Fantasy. Unfortunately, there's no theme song from Silent Hill 2 or 3 because I kept saying, I can sing. And they're like, go away. Yeah, I showed them though. What else is in there? Oh, I contacted Yoko Kanno, who I've worked with on several times before. I love her, and asked her if I could have the rights to sing her cowboy bebop songs in English and in symphonic English. She went, sure. Now, the secret to this is I have an amazing assistant called Tomomi. And Tomomi is very polite but incredibly resourceful and doesn't take no for an answer. And I also had the help of the Australian Embassy in Tokyo. And I asked them to write a letter asking for the game company's consideration for Australia-Japan relations, that Donna is an icon for Australian-Japan relations, and we want you to support our diplomatic efforts by giving her the rights to sing these songs. Now, you imagine you're a pen pusher in some sort of, in the publicity or the publishing department, and you get a letter attached with my materials from the Australian Embassy with the Embassy of Australia. You're like, I don't want to make a mistake. So we just got yes. Incredible.
Wow, that is awesome.
And then the because of the pandemic and the situations in Australia, I have not done that concert. So I have all the rights ready to go. So if someone's a concert promoter who'd like to have this incredible symphonic concert debut in your again, because I don't want to sit around waiting for Metal Gear in Concert to give me a call. I want to have my own symphonic concert and have that to sell, which now I do.
Well, first of all, I think that's a wonderful idea. Second of all, congratulations on getting those rights. It's how long did that take, if I may ask?
You know what? I'd been trying for 3 years with a different.
Okay, well,
with my previous, I used to have a studio and I had like 6 staff before. And then Tomomi did it within 3 months.
Okay, well, it's not too bad. So
like record time, because she's amazing. And I had this special letter.
Well, yeah, the letter definitely brings a level of validity to the whole thing, which
and sort of danger.
Cool.
Like if you don't give us permission, there could be some diplomatic spat between Australia and Japan. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, talking about Metal Gear in Concert. Am I correct in understanding? So you didn't create that? That was
no. It's not my
right.
property,
Okay,
no.
You're just a big part of that. Okay, understood. But those concerts obviously are very, very interesting, and I've watched many of them through, just as through YouTube videos, and they celebrate game soundtracks, and that's just so interesting. And there's not only Metal Gear in Concert; there's different types of in concert performances out there, which I find very, very amazing. And even how do you say this? Even non-gamers, right? They go there. They get to experience
do they go there? I think they might get forced there by a partner. Let's
well, okay.
Let's be honest. It's not probably because I remember the one in New York. A lot of people were complaining, like, God, it was a good concert, but everyone was crying around me and I couldn't concentrate. People were sobbing. That sort of level.
that happens. That's why the music is so powerful. But yeah, how do you feel about generally video game music being celebrated at events like this and at events of such a high caliber?
I want more of it. That's how I feel. That's why I've created my own concert, because I remember being at a Comic Con in Perth, my hometown, and there were people walking around in really great cosplay, and then some of them were exhausted and they were sitting on the concrete floor, and I'm like, my concert is going to be in a beautiful luxing. People can come in cosplay. We're going to celebrate that. That's part of the concert theme, and the more luxe, the more high level, the better. Sorry, there's only 3,000 seats. So I don't want to do stadium. I want to do and people can sit in a lovely, comfortable chair. There's time in the breaks for people to show off their cosplay. It's an adult sort of event, and more please.
Well, yeah, 3,000 people. That's a lot as well. I mean, obviously not a stadium, but that's also a lot. And I believe probably it's going to get bigger and bigger with the gaming industry becoming, bigger and bigger as we speak. And I'd like to change the subject a little bit, talk about AI. It's a subject that I talk to practically with all my guests, since it's the hot topic now and it's so trending and everybody's just doing AI all over the place. With AI, with the rise of AI and AI generated voices now, and like music and whatnot. I want to know your opinion if you see that as a challenge or as an opportunity for voice actors and singers, specifically within the gaming industry, because we've already known of a few games, I don't want to mention them, that use AI generated voices to not record the lines originally, but to add lines that are missing, or to probably add lines that are not important and whatnot. So what is your whole take on that?
It's coming, it's here. You just get used to it. I feel like some of my friends have lost at their jobs. Like I've got a medical translator from Japanese to English in Sydney. Her job has gone overnight.
Okay,
So
my goodness.
because the AI is so good, and so all they're offering for her is to check the AI. She goes, I'm not interested in being a checker. My joy was being the translator. I feel like it's here, and in the same way though, like 20, 30 years ago, drummers all lost their jobs because now I've got a drum machine.
Okay,
So I can just, all I
right.
have to do is the pianist is now going to set up a beat, and then she's just going to, and now she doesn't have to pay for a drummer at a live event. So drummers just lost work overnight because, does it mean there's no more work for drummers? No. So in certain situations, we want to see the drummer, we want to hear the drummer, but for others, it's just like, for budget, it's sort of down to budget constraints, money,
Right.
and that's
Right.
why for the low level, could we get some people to come in and record these lines? We can just go on 11 Labs and get some decent voices, and no one will know.
Yeah.
And it's true, no one will know. Especially if we have human oversight. I use AI a lot in my daily life, like living in Japan. I've got the paid version of ChatGPT. I love it. It's constantly, I'll take a photo of something Japanese, explain what this is, dumb down how to fix my. It's such a fantastic. It's amazing. I love it. It just helps me so much in my level of frustration, especially if you're not techie. Like, tell me how to do this as if you were telling a 7-year-old how to connect the Neumann mic with the SSL2 to a MacBook. Oh, that didn't work, and it's always patient. It never gives up. So I love that sort of help, that I feel really taken care of. And someone just sent me an AI. They use AI instead of getting a guide vocal, they put an AI vocal on it.
I see.
And it was really helpful. I mean, it's a bit shit, but that doesn't matter. And I'm a writer as well, so I love using AI to say, I'm thinking this, but it seems really derivative. What's wrong with this idea? And it's as an idea generator, and it's suggesting things, and most of them like a bit rubbish, but then one of them helps me, especially if you have writer's block or you're sort of a little bit stuck. It's a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
I've noticed
definitely.
they're using AI on the Shinkansen. There's an AI voice which says the next station will come and you will. It's not a good voice.
Wait, isn't it your voice?
No, it's an American female voice. And I get people text me, Donna, they're using an AI voice on the line. And I know.
Oh my God, that's.
Oh, I'm not offended. It's like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But one day they will make the whole of the recording in AI voice.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, it'll happen.
I was looking forward to going there and listening to your voice on
It'll be
the
many
train.
years in the future, but it's just, because then they can just, instead of bringing a human in, they can just.
But do you see? Okay, be that as it may, that they decided to go that direction. What do you think was the choice for that? Did they need more lines, or did they need to just update the voice, or
Oh,
what do you think was it?
the reason is that because of tourism, so many things have kept changing
Mhm.
in the train. Like tourists would come with
Ah,
massive luggage, and they'd say, "Where's a lot of them, the updates are to do with luggage. Like, where am I going to put my luggage?" And the Japanese conductors are like, oh, and there is nowhere to put their luggage. So it would say, put your luggage on the overhead racks, or so there's a lot of luggage related
okay. Too much
updates.
updates,
Yeah.
and that's why. Interesting. Okay, is it the whole thing, or are there still parts of your voice still
No, no.
around there?
Okay. Just sorry. It's the whole thing is my voice. So please
Uh huh.
don't. If I'm alarming people, but occasionally there'll be
Occasionally,
one
okay.
small bit that they are using an AI voice. And then when I go to once a year, I do an update. I fix that bit. So AI hasn't taken over my job. I just want to
Okay, great. Okay,
say,
well, that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
most
yeah.
important
But I'm
thing.
saying
Okay,
in
cool.
the
Because
future, in
it will, yeah.
when I'm old and can't do it, that would be my guess is that they'll just.
Donna, I'm actually very interested to talk about your entrepreneurial endeavors. One of the endeavors is called Royal Flush, and it was such an interesting thing for me to see. I've never seen a company like this. First things first, could you just explain to everybody out there what it is?
No, you explain it because it's sort of so Royal Flush. If you come to Japan, nearly every toilet next to it is a device that looks like this. Sometimes they're a bit bigger, but mainly they're about this big. And when you pass your hand over it, it creates a masking water sound to mask your sounds that you're making in the toilet. So it's 80 decibels. And this device became common,
Wow.
was invented by the Japanese in the late 1980s in response to a
Wow.
drought. And they were trying to save water. And they noticed in the factory, the Toto factory, Toto makes a lot of bathroom stuff. They noticed that people were still double flushing. So people were still flushing the toilet, quickly doing their business. Oh, the water's refilling. And then if they still haven't finished, they'll flush again to cover anything, the sound of anything they're doing in the toilet. And
God.
this company said, well, what will it take for you to stop doing it? We have a drought, you people. You're supposed to be saving water. And the answer was, well, if we could hear the sound of a flushing toilet, if you could make something, then we wouldn't be doing this. But it's embarrassing. My boss could be in the next cubicle. The woman I hate
Right.
from accounts could be just walked in, and I'm ready to lose my lunch. I'm sorry, I'm double flushing. I don't care about a drought. So if you come to Japan, this product is ubiquitous, it's everywhere. And now that I'm used to having this privacy device, I
Yeah.
really miss it when I go home to
Wow.
Australia or to America or the UK. Or to Dubai. I really just wish, why don't they have Japanese sound masking devices? It's just like in the same way when you go, why don't they have toilet paper? These
Yeah.
people are ridiculous. I expect toilet paper. It's kind of like, I'm now Japanese. I feel like um so so what I've done is I contacted a manufacturer in Japan, and they've given me the worldwide rights. And so now I'm just trying to educate people about Japanese toilet culture. Now, if you've been to Japan, you'll be like, yeah, of course, I know what you're talking about. But if you haven't been to Japan,
Right.
you're like, what? What? So that's my latest entrepreneurial
Wow.
venture, and it's doing quite well. I think there's a lot of German people, we get a lot of orders from Germany, funnily enough, from Australia. I think maybe people who've been to Japan are really like, yeah, I want that.
That's really cool. It's such a wonderful thing. I've never heard of an existence of such an item, but now that you mention it, it does make sense. I wish I had it when I was in boarding school for a little bit. That would
Yes.
make
Well, that's when I went to a girls' school and it was hell. And you'd be like, oh, I've got
yeah.
the toilet to myself. And then you hear, and you're like, oh, no. Of course, then you just double flush.
Exactly. Some of my friends there had a tendency to just keep the faucet running nonstop, which also is not great for the water. But that was their solution.
So you imagine Australia, I'm from, is like a massive desert, and we have really huge problems trying to get enough water, and we do the double flushing. So I've just hired a publicist for Australia. She starts next week because I just don't have time to devote. So once I raise awareness, the sales just come. So it's really fun. It's
exactly.
I've been wanting to do it for 10 years,
cool.
and I tried to get my best friend who wants to be an entrepreneur to do it, and he sort of got so far. One bit of advice is like because he was like, well, I think I'd like to have, a bit bigger. I don't like this color. I'd like but for me, I do exactly what the Japanese do. This is how it's packaged in Japan. I didn't try and make fancier packaging. I just go for the lowest bar. What's the easiest thing to do? Just get it out onto the market. I don't overthink. I don't really like this noise. I think I could make up. So then you spend 6 months trying to find the perfect noise. And then you spend 6 months trying to find the perfect font for Royal Flush. And you waste all this time. So my advice is just do a shitty version and get it out there.
That's wonderful. That's such a interesting, endeavor. Oh, and also the heat pads, if I'm correct.
Yeah, the heat pads I've been doing that for 20 years. When I first lived in Japan, I used to not go to the gym, and I always had a sore back. And I remember the chiropractor said, "Oh, you need some of these heat pads," and so I became really addicted to them, and then I'd take them back to my family. And so the Japanese, when I finally found a manufacturer, they're like, but Australia is a hot country. And I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of people with back pain. And I'm like, because they just think pretty much it's for keeping warm in winter. But it's it's a self-heating pad. And the Japanese use heat way more than Australians and maybe Americans do to ease pain. We just pop a pill.
With all these things going on, right? How do you manage to have the time, right? Because these entrepreneurial endeavors, they require time, marketing, research, funding, and whatnot.
So I use a lot of
contractors.
I use a lot of contractors. So now I've just contracted a PR person. So I could do the PR myself, but I'm like, and then I'd never get anything done. So I say to myself, like, yeah, you could do it, Donna, but just get an expert to do it.
Got it.
So, and also
even finding the good ones is hard, right?
Yeah. And I just try, and I give them 2 months, and if they don't work out, I think I'm just like, kiss a few frogs and you'll find your prince. Just don't give up.
Right.
Just if the Facebook marketers are no good, just find some other ones. Just keep trying. Because I know it's not the product. I think the product's fantastic and it's going to go nuts. Yeah. So it's not like, what am I doing wrong with the product? It's more like, what am I,
Wow.
So don't get sucked into being an expert, would be my thing. And it's also, I don't need it for the money. So I want to make lots of money from it, but I haven't given up my day job. So I like having lots of projects on the go. It's the same thing with creatively too. It's like, if you only have one song that you're working on or one screenplay, and then if something goes wrong with that, then you've lost everything. So for me, I've got so many things going on. If that doesn't work out, it's fine. I'm fine. So it's not like, and people don't get that panic. Like, if this was the only thing, I'd be like, hey guys, I'd be panicking. Awesome. Like, you really need to order this. Like, if you really love me, it's Donna Burke. I don't bring any of that energy. It's just like, if you love it, and if you don't, that's cool. So
Right.
I think that sort of detachment is really key. So don't give up your job.
But that's really awesome. Really admirable from you, and definitely,
And
a
I
lot
have
of good
no
advice
business
there.
experience. I didn't. So right now I'm a screenwriter. One of my TV shows that I've created is doing really well. Like we're in the process of selling it.
Nice.
Through a connection with David Hayter, the voice of Snake.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
he's introduced me to this amazing producer, and then we're working together, and I've created this show that's set in Perth, my hometown. There was a point to this, I forgot what it was. But yeah, I remember now. So there's this woman I met who lives near me, and she was like, well, I'm a writer. I've started writing, and I'm doing a course at Stanford, because no one takes you seriously unless you've been, you've really put in the work and you've done the study. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, I'm working with David Hayter. I'm working with all these amazing writers. No one has said, and when did you go to Stanford? No one gives a shit. They're just like, are you fun to work with? Have you got good ideas? Can you produce? So I think a lot of people gatekeep themselves, and I think, well, no one will take me seriously as a business person unless I go and do a course. And I'm like, no, you go on YouTube and watch a few podcasts and work it out.
Right. Actually, that's great advice. That works. That works. That's awesome, really. And I agree with the fact that, all these, university accolades are not always the way to go, at least in my experience as well. After I finished school and uni, nobody ever even paid attention to all my studies. And I was like, so what was this all for?
No, because then actually parents will say,
it
it's the people you met there. And I'm thinking, I don't do business with anyone I met from uni.
Yeah, right.
But admittedly, I did go to the uni that was closest to my house. So maybe.
Well, I guess, yeah, to
Are you
has their
doing business
experience.
with the people you went to uni with?
No. Not at all.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm good friends with the people with whom I studied, but not doing any business whatsoever.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing. Then I want to again change the subject a little bit. You have openly shared that you've been diagnosed with ADHD, and basically, I want to quote a little part of your bio, and it says, "quote It has helped me explain why I am everything and everywhere all at once." End quote. I think that's a really interesting way of putting it. Just to talk about your ADHD and what are some of the challenges and some of the advantages actually that it brings for you in your career?
I think the challenge is everything is a priority one. Like right now, I like watering the garden, feeding the cats, talking to you. Everything's like ding, 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 ding. Do it now. Like that's how it presents for me. And
Wow.
so, and I like everything everywhere all at once, because that just I'm instead of just taking the garbage out, I could take the garbage out. I could pat the cat. I could pick up that thing. I could also put a load of washing on. Like I'm always trying to do too much. Whereas my husband, who doesn't have it, he's just like, I'm just going to put the garbage. He doesn't get distracted. So I'm getting distracted
Right.
by all the other things I could possibly be doing while I'm doing the thing.
Right.
So I think one thing for me as a creative person, though, it allows me to hyper focus. So I can hyper focus for hours on something that's fun.
Really?
So when I'm
Wow.
interested in something, it's just time, and because I
That
work for
doesn't exist,
myself,
right? Mm-hmm.
it's funny because most of my family have ADHD and most of us work for ourselves. So we can accommodate our own. So for example, it's the weekend. I'm probably going to work all weekend so that I can have time off during the week.
Right.
And go to the gym when it's not busy. So like for me, I don't want to be, because of sensory issues and living in Tokyo, I don't want to be around people who are like the whole of Tokyo is on the weekend and they're all going shopping and they're all I don't want to.
Right.
So I'd rather work.
I can relate. So basically, yeah, there's definitely some challenges, but also some advantages that it brings to your life, which is very interesting. Donna, finally, to end off our conversation here, is there any, last remarks, any words you want to tell to your fans or to anybody who might be listening to this podcast?
Ah, I don't know. I just thank you
Okay.
for. I love my fans. They're always really positive, and I love the Metal Gear Silent Hill. The people are great, and I think it's a real honor for me to be in this world, and I don't take it for granted, and I feel deeply blessed for the opportunities I've had and the opportunities that are coming. Another thing I'd say is, like, don't think your life is over. Don't pick an age and think your life is over. So I'm 60. My life is just beginning. The second half of my life is now. I
Right.
think I'm going to live to 120. I'm
For sure.
I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm really happy. I know a lot of dead people who'd love to be 60, dear to my heart. So don't shame
Right.
yourself for being old. Don't think you're too old. You're only as young as the things that you're looking forward to. So have lots of things that you're looking forward to. Like, I'm looking forward to performing Metal Gear in concert in London one day, and I'm looking forward to doing my own symphony concerts around the world. And I've got lots of things to look forward to, including gardening. I love
Right.
gardening. I
That's
love my cat. So
yeah.
I'm really excited about some sun curtains I'm going to put out on my balcony. So it's not the big things. So I just constantly have things that I'm doing and looking forward to, whether they're big or small. And because of ADHD,
Awesome.
everything's just as exciting. I found the
That's awesome.
perfect pink cover for my sofa. Yeah, it's the same thing as,
Wow.
I got a lead role in a new game, which I haven't yet. So, but yeah. So
That's very nice of you.
don't edit yourself or think less of yourself because you haven't done XYZ by whatever age. I only got my first big break when I was probably 37.
Hmm.
So
Well, it's not that late as well, right? There's a tendency to do everything early these days, but I agree with everything that you're saying, and those are some, really, really wise words, great advice, and thank you so much for sharing that. Donna, it was such a pleasure to connect with you, to speak with you, a highlight for me, and I am so thankful for your time. And from myself, I'd like to wish you nothing but the best to you, to your family. I'm hoping to hear your voice in many other projects, and not only your voice. Yeah, exactly.
no, sorry,
One of
I said I wouldn't do that, but God, would you just please? No,
definitely,
you
yeah.
can cut that out
Would like
later.
to get my hands on that as well, and see many other projects that you're going to be a part of, and
Thank you, my
it'll just be a
pleasure.
wonderful. It was wonderful speaking to you. Thank you so very much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks.